Okay, I decided to take a pretty good look at this propaganda film. It says the War Department presents, but further research shows is Warner Brothers, 1945. So it's just like a movie being produced, any movie. Even though they'll tell you it's from the Army Air Force cameraman and all that. Now keep in mind that war is controlled demolition, strategic relocation. Those two are from Dave J. And I'm going to add one. Intensive propaganda. Now that's exactly what you're looking at, is the third element, the intensive propaganda.
Our B-29s began full-scale operations against Japan. 1,500 miles to targets and 1,500 miles back.
Okay, 1,500 to target, 5 and 1 is 6. 1,500 back, 5 and 1 is 6. 6 and 6 are 12. Reverse the 2 and the 1. And that gives you 21 to 3 sevenths. As Dave would say, the blackjack to the head. You have been struck. Notice something else here, right over here. The north, south, east, west. Now, if you've never picked up on this, that's pretty significant too, because basically, if you can imagine, the devil is in the center there with that little star, okay, that little sigil. And his lives go where? North, east, west, and south. N-E-W-S. News. That's why that's there. Because it's a mark of the devil. So let's continue on with our propaganda film.
At Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. Here, 21st Bomber Command concentrated its massive air power and planned the ultimate crushing defeat of Japan, down to the last bomb. Here was the beginning of the end of the road to Tokyo. After 6 months of reoccupation, there were few signs of war along the quiet summer shores of...
Okay, there's few signs of war because basically there was no war at all. All right? It's just a bunch of troop movements, supply movements, all right? Some explosions going off here and there, and lots of propaganda. So basically the people were unaffected. And they're going to pretty much say to you, well, 6 months of occupation, everything looks really, really like there never was a war. Well, that's because there really wasn't a war.
The liberated Chamorros were back in their clean native villages. American citizens again, smiling and friendly, unaware that a miracle had happened around them.
Listen to the miracle.
A miracle that moved mountains of material, equipment, and supplies.
Strategic relocation, controlled demolition,
changed their dirt roads,
propaganda.
That manicured their jungles into acres of black-topped airfields.
How do you like that phraseology? Manicured their jungles into blacktop airfields. Oh, isn't that just wonderful? That the local people got black-topped airfields and they got rid of their jungles. Well, just maybe there was a lot of fruit and vegetables and animals that they counted on. Maybe. But they manicured the jungle. Put black asphalt down. Wasn't that nice of the Allies?
And nearby, new communities of American citizens had set up housekeeping with various types of...
New communities of American citizens, housekeeping? They're military. In the minds of people, they're at war. And they make it sound like they're just the friendly neighbors that moved in down the road. Come on, this is so hokey. But yet, this is the kind of stuff that played in movie theaters to brainwash the American people. Let's watch what these American citizens do in this nice neighborhood with manicured jungles of asphalt air strips.
The latest labor-saving devices, few laundry problems, and no modern inconveniences.
See, because they landed there, look at that, everything got changed. They now have those modern conveniences. Isn't that something? I'll bet not one of the locals had anything at all that the military had.
By midsummer, 21st Bomber Command was in business. Big business.
He just told you the truth. It's all about business. Manufacturing loads and loads of equipment. Manufacturing planes that supposedly are bombing people and bombing installations. Making stuff that basically is never used, and then disposing of it later, and then starting all over again with another hoax war. And that's the whole thing. It's about manufacturing. It is big business. He is right. Fortunes have been made on war.
May's direction, the long arm of Bomber Command began punching the enemy with appalling power. From Guam, Tinian, and Saipan, 600 plane missions increased the bombing weight 100% in 2 months. Behind this expanding power was planning. The LeMay plan began on the ground with maintenance. Assembly line technique cut engine change time from 3 days to less than half a day. In shops and hard stands, ground crews worked day and night during the blitz weeks to keep more B-29s on the line.
Looks like it's done in a studio at Warner Brothers.
Efficient, well-oiled, well-drilled machine of destruction.
Oh, there's your bombs.
Here's a vital cog of that machine. 11 men and a bomber. While they wind up for action, let's find out where they're going and some of the things they're going to do.
Did you notice the number on the plane, 54, and then he said 11 men. There's your 9/11, your destruction code. So they're going to be hoaxing death, dropping bombs everywhere, and killing people, innocent people. Not.
And why? And with what? How do they set up the longest, toughest bomber mission in history? It began about 12 hours ago in
Here's
the
your
war room
21, XX1,
with General LeMay and
three
his staff
sevens,
receiving a
blackjack.
report on tomorrow's weather.
Look at how the paper's arranged on the bulletin board in sevens. Now you see the sevens?
Nagoya, 8/10 cloud above 10,000 feet. In the east, Tokyo area will be 6/10 of 22,000, 3/10 at 14,000 feet, closing up solid after 11 a.m. Osaka and everything west is reported completely socked in.
How will the general solve that one? His B-29s are up against a blank wall except...
Notice he's smoking, and I think he's smoking too. I think he has a pipe. Now, usually that's indicative of the fact that it's really a lady, and they're using a male phallic symbol to try to convince you it's a man. So why do they have to show them smoking cigars and stuff, pipes? Have you ever asked that question? Well, there's all your sevens on the board up there. 7, 7, 7, okay? The way the paper's arranged gives you more sevens.
Possible opening around Tokyo. The old man considers every vital factor and makes his decision. 4 wings will strike Tokyo at 10 o'clock. They'll go in under that weather and bomb at 12,000. Now it's a question...
Okay, supposedly they're going to bomb at 12,000 feet. And again, reverse the 2 and the 1, and that gives you 21, your blackjack, your sevens. Remember, 7 is the mind weapon. So anytime you can use a 7, you are really digging into the mind and slashing right in to get people to believe a bunch of nonsense. By the way, I believed it. I believed every word of it until I watched Dave J. Oh my goodness. My life was so much changed, I can't believe it. But anyhow, we'll go on.
Selection. First priority in the Tokyo area is number 573. Intelligence informs the general that 573 is already 3/4 destroyed. At the moment, number 574, still untouched, would seem more important. Operations checks the tactical plan for 574. General LeMay orders the required changes, okays the target, and commits all executive details to his staff. Operations, with his deputy chief of staff and project officer, goes to work setting up the changes.
More sevens in the back there on the bulletin board.
Folder is a mountain of preparation by special sections
The way
of
the paper's
intelligence
arranged
and
against the
operations.
bulletin board.
1,000 hours of research. Collated facts and figures have been distilled into Tactical Plan 5-7.
Now another thing that could be back there, where I talked about the bulletin board right there, okay, up there, that could be your, I'm going to call it Jacob's staircase. Now, in the Hebrew Bible, where it talks about Jacob's ladder, it is possible to translate Jacob's staircase. So therefore, anytime you see a staircase, it's sort of synonymous for Jacob's ladder. And again, Jacob's ladder is the false charges going up and down both sides of the ladder poles, and you being electrically lit by those charges. So in a way, that could be a what I'll call Jacob's staircase, possibly. I think I'm going to end this as part 1, and I'm going to work my way through this thing because there's so much here that we could talk about, and if you're patient and you hang in there with me, I'll do my very best to uncode things for you, expose it all. But I do want to thank you if you got to the end of the video. I know many people on YouTube like to watch videos that are very short, and mine are not always very short, so I'm not apologizing, because there's a lot of information to be conveyed, and folks just need to be able to say, well, I'm going to watch it to the end, whether I think it's good or not. Then that way you can get everything out of it. So thank you very much, and I'm going to go ahead and make a part 2.